Have you ever asked yourself why some people seem unshaken by chaos, while others crumble under pressure? Emotional resilience isn't a trait reserved for a lucky few. It's a result of conscious habits that shape how we face life's storms. In this video, we'll explore 10 transformative practices that can help you build emotional strength from the inside out. Practices rooted in ancient wisdom, reimagined for the challenges of modern life. These are not about pretending everything's fine or forcing positivity. They're about developing the mental tools to stay calm, think clearly, and act with purpose, even when life is anything but easy. What would change if you could respond to tension with clarity, maintain your inner balance during setbacks, and cultivate quiet confidence in everyday decisions? These habits are designed to help you do just that. If you're ready to shift from emotional reactivity to inner stability and start living with more strength, awareness, and peace, let's break down these 10 powerful habits that can help you grow stronger day by day. Number 1, start your day by identifying control. What's yours, what's not? Mornings often feel like a mental race, plans, pressures, and predictions, all competing for attention. But how often do we step back and ask, which of these things can I actually shape? Most of what drains us emotionally comes from obsessing over situations we don't influence at all. To build true emotional stability, start by anchoring your focus. Each morning, remind yourself of one essential truth. Your control has limits, and that's okay. Philosophers from the Stoic tradition saw clarity not in controlling everything, but in recognizing what belongs to you, your actions, your choices, your perspective. Picture 2 circles. In one, your reactions, your decisions, your behavior. In the other, the opinions of others, the twists of fate, the outcomes you can't dictate. Pouring your energy into the second circle leads to exhaustion and frustration. But investing in the first? That's where strength is built. As your day begins, ground yourself in what you can steer. Your tone in a tense conversation, the effort you put into your tasks, the way you choose to respond when things don't go as planned. These are small, daily chances to reclaim your emotional balance. If your schedule looks chaotic, don't panic over what you can't predict. Instead, prepare your mind. Approach the day with intention. You don't need to control the whole storm, just how you move through it. When you live this way, something powerful shifts. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with calm. Emotional strength grows not from control over the world, but from control over yourself. So tomorrow morning, before the noise sets in, take one quiet breath and ask, what's mine to manage today? Start there, and you'll move through the day with more peace, purpose, and power than you thought possible. Number 2, practice daily gratitude. Remember what you already have. It's easy to get caught in a loop of always wanting more. More success, more recognition, more time. We're constantly told to aim higher, chase bigger goals, and never settle. But when life becomes one long pursuit, we can lose sight of what's already here, already good. One key to becoming emotionally resilient lies in a habit that's often underestimated: noticing what's going right. Not in a fleeting or superficial way, but with genuine presence. Ancient thinkers in the Stoic tradition believed that emotional strength isn't about accumulating more. It's about valuing what's already within your reach. They taught that a calm mind isn't built by external achievements, but by a consistent inner practice of appreciation. Noticing small details, recognizing quiet joys, finding peace in simplicity. These moments create a solid foundation that helps you face chaos without losing your center. This isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's about seeing clearly. When you start to acknowledge even the smallest parts of life that support you, a kind word, a warm drink, a breath of stillness, you begin to feel more grounded. And that groundedness builds strength. The habit itself is simple. At the beginning or end of your day, call to mind a few things that made today better. No need for grand events. What matters is that you're shifting your mental lens from absence to presence, from pressure to perspective. Over time, this subtle shift reshapes how you relate to challenges. You react less impulsively. You appreciate progress. You connect more deeply with others because your attention isn't stuck in what's lacking. It's alive to what's real. And that's the quiet power of gratitude. It doesn't just make you feel better. It teaches you to live from a place of strength, patience, and clarity, no matter what life throws your way. Number 3, reflect on daily events carry a mirror for your life. Most people go through their day without ever stopping to ask themselves why they felt a certain way, how they handled a challenge, or what their actions revealed about their character. Life moves quickly. Deadlines, conversations, unexpected moments. We move from one to the next without much pause. But what if strength didn't come from just pushing forward, but from looking back? One of the most underrated habits for emotional resilience is the simple act of self-examination. Not in the sense of judging yourself or obsessing over what went wrong, but in taking the time to understand how you operate in the world. It's about stepping away from the noise and taking a closer look at how your inner life unfolds. What drives your choices, how you respond to difficulty, and whether you're living in alignment with your deeper values. This isn't something that requires hours of meditation or a complicated routine. Just a quiet few minutes each evening can open up insights that change the way you handle tomorrow. It's in these still moments that emotional growth begins. Philosophers of the past, especially those who believed in living with reason and virtue, saw the value in reflecting daily. They didn't do it to dwell on their flaws, but to observe their own minds with honesty and care. They believed that self-awareness was the beginning of wisdom. Let's say you had a disagreement today. Did you feel heard? Did you listen? Were you calm? Or did your emotions take control? Questions like these aren't meant to lead to guilt. They're meant to lead to clarity. They help you see what patterns you're repeating and what strengths you're already cultivating. This daily look inward is like holding up a mirror, not to criticize, but to understand. And with understanding comes power. The power to choose differently next time, to be more present, to break a habit that no longer serves you. But self-reflection isn't just about recognizing mistakes. It's also about seeing the wins, the small moments you handled better than before, the conversations where you showed patience, the thoughts you didn't act on because you've grown. These little victories often go unnoticed, but when you see them, you reinforce the progress you've made. The goal here isn't to perfect yourself overnight. It's to build a consistent practice of becoming just a little more aware, a little more intentional, day by day. That's how emotional strength is developed, not through grand declarations, but through quiet self-honesty. So tonight, before the day disappears completely, take a moment to revisit it, not to rewrite it, but to learn from it. What did today reveal about you? What would you like to repeat tomorrow? And what would you handle differently? By making this practice a steady part of your life, you'll notice something subtle but powerful. You're no longer just reacting to life. You're shaping it from the inside out. Number 4, learn the art of letting go, accept loss as part of life. There comes a point in every life when something you value slips away. It could be a person, a career path, a sense of identity, or simply the vision of how things were supposed to be. These moments often arrive uninvited and leave behind a silence that's hard to understand. We're taught to push forward, to keep going, but rarely are we taught how to release what no longer belongs in our lives. True emotional strength doesn't just come from endurance. It comes from knowing when it's time to loosen your grip. When you stop trying to rewind time or reshape what's already gone, something important happens. You reclaim your energy from the past and return it to the present. Throughout history, wise thinkers have reminded us that nothing we hold is truly permanent. Change is the natural state of life, not the exception. Ancient philosophers, particularly those rooted in Stoic thought, viewed loss not as tragedy, but as transition. They believed that accepting impermanence wasn't a sign of indifference, but of clarity. Life, they observed, is in motion. Trying to freeze it in place only leads to suffering. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's not about suppressing grief or pretending that pain doesn't exist. It's about recognizing that clinging to what's no longer real, whether it's an ideal, a memory, or a person, keeps us tethered to a version of ourselves that no longer fits who we are becoming. It's tempting to believe that if we just hold on a bit longer, things might return to how they were, but they won't. And in that truth lies a quiet kind of freedom. When you release the illusion that you can control outcomes, you begin to make peace with uncertainty. You begin to trust in your capacity to adapt, to grow, to start again, stronger and wiser. Think for a moment about what you're still carrying: an old grudge, a fading relationship, a dream that no longer brings you joy. Ask yourself, are you holding it because it serves you, or because you're afraid of what comes next? Often, the fear of letting go is really a fear of who we'll be without that thing. But what if who you become is more grounded, more open, more alive? Letting go is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. It might begin with a conversation you no longer replay, a name you stop searching for, or a future you stop trying to fix. It might be as simple as saying, "This hurts, but it's time to move on." And here's something even more important. When you stop seeking closure from the outside, you start building closure from within. You realize that peace isn't something others give you. It's something you allow yourself to experience when you accept reality as it is, not as you hoped it would be. This process also requires releasing the narratives that tie your worth to what you've lost. You are not defined by your job title, your past relationships, or your achievements. When these things fade, your value remains. The world may change around you, but your inner self doesn't have to collapse with it. In fact, some of the most powerful transformations happen in the aftermath of letting go. When you're no longer busy holding the door shut on yesterday, you can finally open a window to something new. Growth, healing, and even joy often begin in the space that letting go creates. So if you're facing loss, any kind of loss, know this: it doesn't have to undo you. It can shape you, refine you, and clear the way for a version of yourself that doesn't need to grasp for control. Letting go isn't giving up. It's choosing to live with open hands, not closed fists. It's choosing to trust the unfolding of life, even when it doesn't go to plan. And in that surrender, you don't lose strength. You build it. Number 5, set a daily purpose. What's your why for today? Most people don't choose how their day unfolds. They react to it. The alarm goes off. The messages pile up. The tasks come at full speed. From the moment we wake, we're often caught in a current of activity that pulls us from one thing to the next. And at the end of it all, despite being busy, we feel strangely hollow. It's not because we didn't do enough. It's because we didn't decide what mattered most. Emotional strength isn't only about how we handle crisis. It's also about how we live in the ordinary moments. Those quiet, daily decisions that shape our mindset and define our character. One of the most effective ways to anchor yourself amid chaos is to begin each day by identifying what gives that day meaning. A single, personal aim. Not a list of chores, but a compass. When we enter a day without clarity, we surrender our focus to whatever demands the loudest attention. But when we establish a guiding intention, we take back control of our energy. We no longer measure the value of a day by how many things we checked off, but by how deeply we lived in alignment with what we care about. This practice isn't about achieving more. It's about choosing with awareness. You might decide, today I will stay calm under pressure. Or, today I'll be fully present in my conversations. These intentions don't need applause or proof. They serve to align your actions with your values. And that alignment creates a quiet kind of power, the strength that comes from living deliberately. Philosophers of many traditions have spoken of this, of rising in the morning not with anxiety, but with purpose. They believed that the quality of your day is determined not by circumstances, but by the clarity with which you approach them. A person guided by intention is harder to shake. They don't just get through the day, they give it shape. Setting a daily aim also transforms how you reflect in the evening. Instead of asking, "Did I get everything done?" you begin to ask, "Did I stay true to what I set out to do?" That shift builds confidence, not from perfection, but from consistency. And over time, this repeated act of purposeful living trains the mind to stay centered, especially when life gets unpredictable. There's something deeply empowering about waking up and choosing how you want to show up, instead of waiting to see what the day demands of you. It's not about having full control. It's about having clear direction. And in a world that pulls us in 1,000 directions, direction is everything. So tomorrow, instead of jumping into motion, take a breath. Consider not just what you must do, but what you want your day to stand for. Choose one thing to carry through your day like a thread. One simple focus that will remind you who you are and who you're becoming. That is how ordinary days begin to carry extraordinary weight. Purpose doesn't require a grand vision. Sometimes it's as quiet as being kind when no one expects it, or as personal as committing to honesty, focus, or rest. But whatever it is, let it be yours. Because when each day has meaning, no moment is wasted. And when no moment is wasted, you become stronger. Not by accident, but by design. Number 6, practice mental detachment. Be present without getting overwhelmed. Imagine walking through a crowded train station during rush hour. Everyone is rushing. Announcements are echoing overhead. The noise is relentless. Now imagine trying to hold a deep conversation in the middle of that chaos. It's almost impossible to focus, isn't it? That's what living without mental boundaries can feel like. Your attention pulled in every direction. Your emotions hijacked by every headline, opinion, or passing comment. In a world that constantly demands your attention, emotional clarity isn't something that just happens. It's something you create. And one of the most powerful ways to protect that clarity is through the discipline of mental detachment. But let's be clear, detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. It's not about shutting the world out. Rather, it's the art of engaging fully with life without letting it overrun your inner world. It's about building a strong interior space, one that remains calm even as life swirls around you. We live in a time when everything is urgent. The news cycle moves faster than we can process. Social media floods us with highlights, outrage, and comparison. People carry their stress like open suitcases, spilling it into every interaction. If we absorb it all without filtering, we begin to lose our sense of balance. Mental detachment is like closing the window to a storm, not because you're ignoring it, but because you want to protect the peace inside. You're still aware of what's happening. You're still present, but you're not letting the wind knock everything over. One of the most common sources of emotional exhaustion is our reflex to react to everything. A stranger's judgment, a friend's frustration, an unexpected problem. We respond instantly, often without realizing we had a choice. But we do have a choice. We don't have to attend every argument we're invited to. We don't have to accept every emotional weight handed to us. Developing mental detachment starts with recognizing that not everything deserves your full emotional investment. That sharp comment someone made? Maybe it says more about their stress than your worth. That thing that didn't go as planned? Maybe it's not a disaster, just part of life's unpredictable rhythm. The ability to see without absorbing is one of the most freeing skills you can learn. It's also deeply empowering. When you stop trying to manage everything that's outside of you, you regain energy to nurture what's within you. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop giving people or circumstances the power to dictate your peace. This doesn't happen overnight. Like physical strength, emotional detachment is built through repetition. It begins with a pause, a moment of silence before the reaction. It continues with a question. Does this deserve space in my mind? And over time, it evolves into a habit of inner steadiness. And here's what's surprising. Detachment often leads to deeper connection, not less. When you're not clinging to outcomes or taking things personally, you can actually listen better, respond more calmly, and relate to others with genuine compassion. Because your sense of self isn't constantly under threat. Ultimately, emotional resilience isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about choosing where to place them. It's about knowing which battles to engage in and which to release. It's about cultivating enough space inside yourself that external noise doesn't drown out your inner voice. So the next time the world shouts for your attention, pause. Don't answer right away. Step back, observe, and decide if it's worth your peace. And if it's not, let it pass. The train will move on. You, however, can stay rooted. Number 7. Foster gratitude in daily life. Imagine waking up tomorrow and finding that everything you took for granted today was gone. What would still remain? Would the people, comforts, and moments that fill your life still be there? Or would silence and absence be all that's left? We often focus on what's missing. The things we want, the goals we haven't reached, the relationships we wish were different. And in doing so, we overlook what's already here. Small, meaningful details that quietly support us every day. The warmth of a quiet morning. The steadiness of someone who shows up for you. The freedom to move, to speak, to choose. These are not guaranteed. Yet when they're present, we barely notice them. To the Stoics, gratitude wasn't sentimental. It was a form of strength. It wasn't about writing affirmations or chasing happiness. It was about building the kind of perspective that doesn't crumble when life shifts. Epictetus warned against the habit of desiring what we lack, while forgetting that what we have now was once only a wish. He challenged us to see our lives not as a list of deficits, but as proof of dreams already fulfilled. So how do we hold on to that perspective in a culture obsessed with more? One way is by briefly imagining what it would feel like to lose what we love. Not to create fear, but to awaken appreciation. Picture your life without someone important to you, without your health, without your freedom. Now return to the present and see what's still within reach. That clarity? That's gratitude. Not the kind we talk about on holidays, but the kind that roots you in what matters. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending that struggle is beautiful. It means recognizing that even hardship can carry lessons, and that strength is often born from difficulty. Think back to a challenge that once overwhelmed you. What did it reveal? How did it shape you? Gratitude lets us look at those moments with new eyes, not to glorify the struggle, but to acknowledge what it gave us. You don't have to wait for tragedy to wake up to the value of what you already have. You can start now. Take a quiet moment to name one thing in your life you once overlooked. Something or someone that's still here. It might be small. That's the point. Gratitude is built on noticing what usually goes unseen. And as you turn this noticing into a habit, you begin to shift. You become less reactive, more grounded. You stop chasing meaning in the future and start finding it in the present. That shift builds resilience, not because it shields you from pain, but because it teaches you that even in pain, something endures. You don't have to lose it to appreciate it. You just have to see it. Right now. Number 8. Accept what is beyond your control. What if everything you overlook today disappeared tomorrow? It's a question few dare to ask, but one that quietly reveals just how much of life we fail to notice. We chase goals, worry over what's missing, and scroll through endless updates. Yet we miss what's quietly steady, the familiar voice on the other end of the call, the light filtering through the curtains, the simple rhythm of our breath. In the rush to become, we forget to acknowledge what already is. That's where emotional depth begins, not in seeking more, but in fully seeing what's here. Gratitude, in its truest form, isn't about counting blessings. It's about waking up to them before they vanish. The Stoics didn't treat gratitude as a feel-good practice. To them, it was a vital discipline, one that sharpened the mind and steadied the heart. They understood how easily the mind slips into dissatisfaction, always leaning toward what's missing. But what if instead, you paused and looked closely at the life already unfolding in front of you? Consider this. There was a time you longed for the job you now complain about, for the quiet you now call boring, for the people you now assume will always be around. That gap between past longing and present reality is filled with overlooked miracles. It's not about pretending life is perfect. It's about noticing that even within struggle, there's something holding you up. Maybe it's a lesson hidden in pain. Maybe it's the resilience you didn't know you had. Maybe it's simply the fact that you're still standing. Try this. Picture something essential to your life vanishing for a moment. Not to scare yourself, but to reset your lens. What changes in how you feel when you realize it's still here? That quiet shock of awareness is gratitude in its rawest form. Not a word, but a shift in perception. You don't need a journal or a routine. You need presence, a willingness to stop scrolling, stop rushing, and start seeing. Gratitude isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention, but it rewires how you relate to the world and to yourself. When you make space for it, even briefly, it builds something deeper than happiness. It creates emotional strength, the kind that doesn't collapse when plans fall apart, the kind that knows how to endure, not because everything is easy, but because you've trained yourself to recognize what still matters. And the best part? You don't have to lose anything to appreciate it. You just have to see it now. Number 9. Master the art of saying no. Imagine carrying a backpack through your day. Each time someone asks for your time, your energy, your presence, and you agree without hesitation, a stone drops into the bag. A favor here, an extra task there. By evening, your shoulders ache. You haven't walked your own path. You've carried the weight of everyone else's journey but your own. This is what happens when we constantly say yes out of guilt, fear, or the desire to be liked. It feels harmless in the moment, even generous. But over time, it erodes something essential: your direction, your peace, your power to choose how your life unfolds. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's responsible. It's how you protect what matters most. The challenge is, we're often conditioned to associate no with rejection or conflict. But saying no doesn't mean turning your back on people. It means turning toward your own values. Think of someone who always puts others first. Their calendar is full, but their heart is empty. They stay late, help everyone, smile through exhaustion, until one day they realize they don't remember what they wanted. Not because they failed, but because they never stopped to ask. Clarity is the cure. When you define what truly matters to you, whether it's peace, growth, health, or family, it becomes easier to know which requests deserve your time and which only distract you. When you say yes to everything, you eventually say no to yourself. You don't need to explain or justify. A short, sincere answer is enough. I can't commit to that right now. Or, I appreciate the offer, but I need to focus elsewhere. These aren't excuses. They're signs of someone who values their own life enough not to give it away by default. At first, saying no may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But the discomfort is temporary. The strength it builds is lasting. And something remarkable happens. The people who truly respect you begin to see your boundaries as part of your integrity, not an obstacle to it. Now reimagine your day. Not a schedule packed with obligations, but a rhythm that reflects who you are and what you care about. You're not reacting, you're choosing. You're not just busy, you're purposeful. So when another request comes, ask yourself, is this how I want to use my time, my energy, my life? And if the answer is no, speak it, not with hesitation, but with quiet certainty. Because every time you honor your own path, you reclaim the right to walk it. Number 10, train your mind to stay focused. Your mind wasn't built to chase everything. Yet in today's world, it's pulled in every direction. Endless notifications, news feeds, conversations, expectations. You begin one task and are pulled into another before the first even takes shape. Hours pass, and you're left wondering, what did I actually accomplish? This is how focus dissolves. Quietly, steadily. Not in dramatic moments, but in constant, silent surrender. The truth is, attention isn't something we simply have. It's something we train. Just as a musician tunes their instrument, or an athlete strengthens their body, the mind requires deliberate shaping. Without that, it drifts, chasing what's loud, not what's meaningful. The people who create lasting impact, philosophers, artists, leaders, don't have more time than you. They've just learned to treat their attention as sacred. They don't let the world decide where their energy goes. They decide, and so must you. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly committed to a single task? Not half present, not checking your phone every few minutes, but fully immersed, uninterrupted. That kind of attention doesn't just complete a task, it transforms the one doing it. Reclaiming your focus starts with protecting your mornings. Before the world intrudes, Define what matters most that day. Choose with clarity. Then build walls around your priorities. Don't let noise invade what should be your sanctuary of intention. Some structure helps. Work in deep intervals. Take intentional breaks. Block time on your calendar. But tools alone aren't enough. You need the will to return, again and again, to what matters. Every time you resist distraction, you strengthen your mental spine. Every time you complete something with presence, you build the muscle of mastery. You will be tempted. The world is designed to fracture your mind. But in choosing not to follow every impulse, you're doing something radical. You're reclaiming ownership of your own life. And if you ever doubt your ability to focus, remember this. Some of the greatest minds wrote, built, and endured not in peace, but in noise, in chaos, in adversity. They didn't wait for silence. They created it within. Do the same. Anchor yourself. Protect your attention like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Thank you for spending these moments with us. If this message resonated with you, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your reflections, your experiences, or even just a single word that stayed with you. If you found value here, consider subscribing. This space is for those who seek depth, clarity, and quiet strength in a noisy world. And your presence helps this community grow. Until next time, stay grounded, stay mindful, and remember, your attention is your power.